Ed Walker is overseeing another excellent season with 2 Royal Ascot winners alongside multiple successes at pattern level both internationally and domestically. So we've come down to Kingsdown Stables to get the inside line on his runners at the Qatar Goodwood Festival. Ed, thanks for having us down this morning. I suppose, how would you summarise the season thus far?
It's been great, very, very happy. We're very lucky to have a strong team of horses. They performed well at a high level. I think numerically we're a bit down. We've had a lot of seconds, especially in the last sort of month or so, a lot of seconds and thirds. Been a bit frustrating, more in the lower grade stuff. But the number of stakes winners is extraordinary, really. And just things have fallen right on the big days. We've been very, very lucky. So you need a lot of luck in this game and you need the good horses, and we're lucky to have a strong team at the moment.
And 2 Royal Ascot winners, as you say, on the big days performing. That must have been a very satisfactory week.
It was going really badly up until then. The first 3 days weren't good at all. Do or Do Not was probably the only horse I didn't think had a strong chance, and he finished second in the Coventry, and that was our first runner. And I thought it was going to be the perfect week, and then it kind of all went completely wrong from there. And the low point being Maghera at the start of the King Charles III. And we were feeling a bit flat. And then thankfully we were cheered up by Never Let Go in the Sandringham, and then the icing on the cake with Noble Champion.
And Glorious Goodwood just around the corner as well. You seem to have a decent stock of horses going. We'll start with the Lennox Stakes, where you've got 10 Bob Tony and Noble Champion, both from the same ownership, so I assume only one of them will run?
I think only one of them will run. I mean, I suppose if it was good ground, we could run them both, but I don't think that's likely. I think it's, with the weather forecast, I think it's probably more likely Noble Champion will go there. And he's had a nice break and freshen up from Royal Ascot. We always plan to not rush him back, and he's in great form. He's bouncing, and his work's been good. Not that he's had to do a lot. He's a high energy horse, and it's more about keeping a lid on him really than hard craft. Yeah, very exciting. It was great to see him do what he did at Ascot. It was the perfect setup for him that day, and we'll see. I'm not convinced Goodwood's as much his track as Ascot, in all honesty. But if the ground's good or quicker, I expect we'll take our chance. And
what did you put the, I suppose, small improvement of form at Royal Ascot down to? Was it ground related? What do you think it just suited him on the day?
We had we kind of had excuses, not that we were looking to make excuses, but we had massive belief in this horse. And coming into the season, he had a setback in January. He gave himself a nasty cut in the stable, just messing around. I said he's a high energy horse, and he was fresh on a Monday morning, and he must have bucked in his box as the other horses pulled out or something, and he overreached and gave himself a nasty cut, and he had to have 3 weeks in the box while that all knitted back together. And that was in January, and that really set us back for the Greenham, which was always the plan. Greenham, which we thought always felt like 7 furlongs is his trip. Whether he was a 6-7 furlong horse or a 7 or 8 furlong horse, we weren't quite sure. And I then brought him back to 6 to answer the question of, if he's not a 7, if he can't run 7, do we go 6 or 8? And Tom, I think, taught him a lot that day at Newbury, and although he didn't run very well, I think it put some manners on him and taught him to race, and I think the results of that were reaped at Ascot over 7 furlongs on a stiff track, strong pace, fast ground. It all kind of clicked. So we know what works for him, and we know what doesn't work for him, and it's just about sort of being patient, waiting for the right races.
And with 10 Bob Tony, he showed some very smart form as a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old, but the gelding operation seemed to really suit him when he, probably a career best, beating Kinross in the John O'Gaunt.
Definitely a career best. I mean, he goes well after a break, which is why we've been absolutely no rush to run him until he gets his conditions. He's happy out, just hacking away around the gallops. He's a very clean-winded horse, super straightforward, just a lovely person. And he obviously won first time out last year at Newmarket. Then we ran him in the English and German Guineas. Then we gave him a break, and he ran a career best at Longchamp after a break, and then slightly disappointed. And then he obviously ran a career best first time out this year, so after a long break. So he doesn't need a lot of work, doesn't need racing. We're just going to wait till I don't mind if he doesn't run till the foray, to be honest with you. He'll run when he gets his conditions. Seven furlongs again. Why we have so many 7 furlong specialists is quite annoying, but it's good of York to add another Group 1 to the calendar. So him and Noble Champion will follow the same course, and one will run when it's quick and one will run when it's soft.
Moving on to the King George Stakes, you've got 3 in there at the moment. Balmoral Lady was very impressive at Haydock, and that form obviously took a mighty boost last week at Newmarket.
Yeah, she's, I think it's wide open, the sprint division. We're lucky to have some really good sprinters. Again, we know what they want, and I think I made a mistake running Balmoral Lady at Sandown. It was fast ground and a bad draw, and I should have just left it alone, and it all went wrong from the minute the gates opened, really. So put a line through that. Ascot was a massive run, and she wants a bit to be seen at her best. She wants a bit of ease in the ground, and Celandine's the opposite. She wants it rattling quick.
Celandine was brilliant last year as a 2-year-old Group 2 winner and was a very close 4th in the Molecombe. Do you feel the drop back to 5 furlongs at Goodwood will really suit?
I think she's very, very quick. She ran well in the Molecombe, well enough. She sort of raced on her own, which didn't suit. And I think she'll be fine back over 5. I think an easy 6 is probably the best thing for her, but she's not slow. I think she proved she trained on the other day. We had to, unfortunately, her programme we were so set in stone what it was, and you need so much luck in this game, everything to go right, and it didn't with her. She got a throat infection that we had to give her quite a bit of time for, and that missed her prep race, and then we obviously missed Ascot. It was great for Harry Eustace when Time for Sandals won the Commonwealth Cup, but equally it was a bit heartbreaking that we were sat at home on fast ground when we beat her in the Lauder. So I'm sure she's improved that filly. She's got size and scope, and she was less experienced than us at York last year. So you can't say we would have won the Commonwealth Cup, but equally that probably hurt more than the Almacam Ombudsman thing, really.
And the Lily Langtry, where you have Scenic running, she's been brilliant already this year, just touched off last time out at Haydock by a smart horse as well. Probably going back up to a mile 6 will suit her?
Yeah, I think she's very versatile between a mile 4 and mile 6, to be honest. I'm not convinced she truly stayed in the Park Hill, the mile 6.5 at Donny on soft ground. I think just tested her stamina a bit. So I think, an easier mile 6 at Goodwood is absolutely ideal. She ran a huge race at Haydock. Where Celandine's prep's been a nightmare, Scenic, everything's gone right this year. The Bronte was always the target, and Lancashire Oaks and Yorkshire Oaks. That was always we didn't quite win the Lancashire Oaks, so we have another shot at a Group 2 in the Lily Langtry, and obviously now that she's owned by Wathnan Racing, and very grateful for their support, but they're obviously very focused on Goodwood. But it makes perfect sense, not just from the ownership, but also from the horse's point of view, to go there. Had she won at Haydock, then maybe it'd be a different, we'd be going straight to York, but that she could still potentially do Goodwood and York, so we're keeping all options open with her.
And it was a mighty run at Haydock in a bit of a mess of a 4-runner race, to be honest. Yeah,
I think I slightly feel like she doesn't get the credit she deserves for that run. I slightly feel like the world thinks that Estrange we only got that close because it was a muddling race, but I don't know. Hopefully they'll meet again one day, and we'll see.
Well, it seemed that it would inconvenience your filly just as much as it would have inconvenienced her.
I think so. And it was a great race. It was very exciting. And it's kind of quite nice, much more nerve-wracking for David O'Meara because he had the 3-1 on shot. It's for us, everyone expects us to get beaten, so we were very much David, and we didn't quite manage to get to Goliath.
As you mentioned, she's owned by Wathnan, who also have English Oak, a Royal Ascot winner. Getting back to some degree of form with a second last time out, will he be Goodwood bound for a handicap?
Yes, he's bounced out of that race at Hamilton, which was the first time he's run a race in, all this year anyway. Don't really know what's gone amiss with him. I think he gave everything at Ascot in the Buckingham Palace, and I think I then, in hindsight, should have given him more time. I then chucked him in the deep end in group races, and I think if I had my time again, he probably should have just been left alone and had one more run that year or something. Anyway, we live and learn, and hopefully he's back. He's back now. He looks like he's wants a mile and a quarter. So we're going to try him in the opening race of the meeting. I think it's called the Chesterfield. Mile and a quarter handicap, 4-year-olds and up, and see how we go.
And just looking at your other runners through Goodwood Week, you've got Fort George in a handicap. There's plenty of other horses that I'm sure you have for handicaps, and maybe even a horse or two for the maidens.
Yeah, Dr. Jim Hayes and Fitchery Hay are big supporters of Goodwood, and they're always keen to have runners there. We've looked after Fort George for this race, so you know he's a progressive handicapper, and he's got his quirks, but he's got plenty of ability, and he'll go for the 10 furlong 3-year-old handicap. And then River Spey, who again is a 2-year-old we like, was very disappointing on soft ground at Ayr. Hopefully if it's better ground at Goodwood, he'll run in the 6 furlong maiden. So yeah, we've got plenty of shots to fire, and it's not been the happiest of hunting grounds for us over the years, but we're hoping this year we can try and nick one.
Watch live racing now on racingtv.com.